Hello, and welcome to the March edition of the Open Source Open Service Mesh Call. My name is Phil Gibson. I'm one of the PMs here at Microsoft. This call is governed by the CNCF Code of Conduct. If you're not familiar with that, please visit our repo, and you can look up the Code of Conduct file, and that will give you all the information you need about the Code of Conduct and how to interact with everyone here in the community. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and jump into our agenda. No major announcements, I see. And we do got a couple of items here. Keith, I know I got mine before you, but how about you go ahead and talk about your identity binding proposal, and then I'll come back and finish up with some of the notable PRs that have happened in the last month, if that's okay with you.
Sure, yeah, that works for me. Hi, everyone, if you haven't met you yet, my name is Keith Maddox. I'm a maintainer of the SMI community. And I just wanted to drop a line here about this proposal that I've created around a new CRD for SMI called identity binding. This CRD looks to augment some of the kind of authorization policy features that the traffic target resource provides in SMI by extending, well, it's not extending traffic target. It's a CRD that represents identity for a particular service. So instead of just, traffic target currently only allows for service accounts, at least that's the only specific resource mentioned in the spec. But in the next couple of weeks, we hope to the plan is to get a PR in for identity binding to be able to specify any number of kind of schemes for identity. We're looking to start off with spiffy service account and pod label selector to start off. And yeah, like I said, we're hoping to get a PR into SMI spec in the next couple of weeks to kind of add this in. And I wanted to just drop a line here and make sure that the OSM community was aware of this as well.
Thanks. Yeah, this is becoming more of a hot topic in my discussion with customers. So yeah, I think the spiffy stuff, we've talked about it. And there's some other overlapping things we've talked about with some other open source projects like Workload Identity, which is doing OIDC. But yeah, this I'm liking this. I think it's needed, to kind of broaden it beyond the Kubernetes service accounts.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree. It's when you start thinking about doing anything across diverse workloads, multi-cluster identity is kind of at the center of those conversations, and SMI doesn't have a very fleshed out story for that quite yet. And I think that identity binding, the kind of impetus for it was well, initially it was to get SEO support with SMI, but when designing it, one of the things in the back of my mind was, okay, how do we start trying to enable identity across multiple different workloads? So I posted the link to the proposal in the community, the OSM community agenda. So please go in there, take a look, add comments or suggestions. And like I said, they'll hope to issue a PR within the next 2 weeks to get this merged into the SMI spec. So I'm in the CNCF chat, ping me or visit us in the SMI channel in Slack if you've got any questions or concerns about it.
Yeah, I think you just answered mine. So so this has been accepted in SMI. And so you mentioned this is going to get merged in a couple of weeks. Is that my understanding?
That's the current plan, barring any major concerns that pop up. Yes.
Okay. Well,
Hey
awesome.
Keith, I had a question. Is this change backward compatible?
Yes. So kind of the plan that we've talked about internal to SMI so far is we're looking to kind of make a push toward making our making the spec beta. And so the plan is for identity binding eventually to replace service account. But the only initial change for right now will be adding identity binding kind of as a valid resource for a source and destination within traffic target. You won't be removing any functionality at this time. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it seems like at the moment there are not going to be any issues with just using the existing APIs, but in the future, implementations like OSM have to adopt the identity binding API.
Yes, that's the plan currently, and that will be a alpha to beta change in traffic target is the plan. So we want to make sure we maintain our backward compatible promises within kind of a version set like alpha. But the plan is to with the move to beta inside of traffic target to make that change away from service account.
Thanks for bringing this to our attention there, Keith. So is there any call of action on the OSM community? Or is this just, you just want to notify us about this change that's happening in SMI?
Yeah, no specific call to action. If I know that SMI, I'm sorry, that OSM is, may also be trying to solve some of these challenges. And so this is more of just for awareness and just letting all know if you have any, things you might want to see in this first set or any concerns or things you might want to be left out of the initial spec, just let us know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look over this, and I'm assuming there's a way it's documented on how to kick the tires with this. So yeah, I'll find some cycles to go through that. Okay. Awesome. Thank you again, Keith. Okay, back to the agenda. Looks like I'm still the only one. Okay. So what I'll do is I just did a quick query here, just kind of on all the PRs that got closed and merged in the last month. And I'm just going to kind of highlight the ones I think are should be highlighted. But again, if there's any engineers or anyone else that was involved in some that they feel like it needs some attention or want to present to the community, please just chime in. I'm just going to kind of go on the list that I have. Shashank's on the call. So one thing I was looking at was pretty interesting was the upstream traffic setting, CRD, that got merged, and that's going to help with enabling some of the circuit breaking functionality. So we know that retries, circuit breaking, kind of all those kind of application HA, scenarios are really important to a lot of customers. So looks like we're making great progress on that. We've also have Darwin and Linux ARM64 support. So that made it in. We got those images in there. And another one is, if you haven't taken time to look at this, this merged too as well. So we're updating kind of like the release process documentation. And so we're looking to go with a quarterly release cycle. And right now it's tagged as like February, May, August, and November. And so it's pretty interesting. And we know this is really important to the community. We're building kind of like the project board to kind of display this as well. But one of the big things that we were getting from customers were, hey, how do I know when the feature is going to hit? What's the timing of this? And we believe we've addressed this in this new release documentation there. So you'll see milestones labeled vFuture and next release. And so we'll probably just end up having a call and getting, work items into kind of like the next release. And then again, things that are very future, we'll at least have it out there that the community has talked about it. And then we'll plan for that to hit one of the release cycles in the near future. So again, if you've not seen that documentation Thomas has put up there, please read through it. And if you got any questions about it, submit an issue, and we can chat about it next call. The only other things that I just want to let people know is, so this is just some of the infrastructure stuff. So we've updated Envoy to the latest, or at least to the v.1.19.3 release of Envoy. We've also upgraded the Docker distribution to v.2.8.0, as well as the Containerd to version 1.5.10. So those are just some upgrades of some things that we're leveraging with the project. Outside of that, I don't know if there's anyone on the call, if they have touched any of these PRs and want to, maybe mention one that I did not mention to highlight. Okay. And if not, I can leave the query so people can take a look at that. Okay, that is all that I had. We can take a look at the issues list. I don't know if there's any issues that people want to chat about while we got the community. If not, we can move on from that as well.
I have a quick question about the plan cadence. It kind of looks like it's trailing after Kubernetes releases by a couple months. Is that the intention, or because of course, with various API deprecations that come out with Kubernetes releases, there's always things to look at. I'm just wondering if the February, May, August, November is intended to work around that, or if it's just kind of intended to work around the calendar.
I don't know.
Mostly
I can't answer that.
I'm just kind of wondering what happens if there's a Kubernetes release, say there's one coming in April, we know that. And so then we're going to be able to release in May, and that's cool. But then there won't be another one until approximately August, September. And so I'm wondering, are we going to end up having the OSM release come out before the Kubernetes release? Because Kubernetes went to a 3 times a year release. Yeah, I'm just kind of wondering how it's going to line up.
Yeah, so far we haven't had to necessarily keep up with the Kubernetes releases. And in case there's some sort of a deprecation, we can always release a patch for something that breaks. The current release cadence was just done without taking Kubernetes releases into consideration. It's just something so that the project has a more reasonable timeline for when users can expect new features and enhancements that are not necessarily possible via patches.
Yeah, we wanted to make something a little more predictable. If people are making decisions based upon features or something, it will at least give them, some guidance as far as, when they can calculate when a feature may hit with OSM or be available.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. If no one wants to chat about issues, there's nothing pressing on any of these issues, we can go ahead and end with that. I'll open it up. Is there any other questions from anyone from the community that want to talk about while we're here? Okay, I think that's it. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone that has shown up today for this call. Our next call, I believe, you're keeping me honest there, Bridget, is the 12th of April. Is that right? Just doing my quick calendar math there. Awesome. Okay, so we will reconvene 12th of April. Have a good rest of your day. And if there are any items for that next meeting, please go ahead and get them in. We'll go ahead and prepare the doc for that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good one.